Sunday morning, I'm meteorologist James Hopkins here on 10 Tampa Bay Plus. We're streaming all things weather. Going to talk about our extended forecast, how long these nice temperatures are going to last, and of course we'll wrap up with talking about the tropics. Unfortunately, still 29 days of hurricane season yet to go before the end of that, and things are looking pretty nice for us as we go throughout the start of our day today. Take a live look around, and again, a few clouds out there. Looking good though, that's the good news. As we had a beautiful start to the day, again, another cool start, and we're going to see some fluctuating temperatures here over the next couple of days. But look out there right now, downtown Tampa, St. Petersburg looking off towards the west, and Clearwater Beach looks good as well. Tampa International, and you see there is looking off to the east. From St. Petersburg, again, a few clouds out there. Your boating forecast is nice for the day today. And also that beach forecast, look at that, Clearwater Beach. From atop the Wyndham Grand, and you see some people out there. I don't think I see anybody. Well, it looks like a few people maybe with their feet in the water. I don't see anybody swimming out there. As you're going to see those temperatures topping out, I'd say about 76 degrees is what you'll get today. 2 p.m. 74, and about 5 o'clock you'll be back down to about 74. But that water temperature is only 76, which will be, again, what the expected actual temperature is today. UV index is a 6. Good looking marine forecast. Winds will be shifting from the east to the north, but only about 5 to 10 knots. Seas at about a foot, and a light chop in the bay and out overlooking Tampa. Again, the same scenario. Got a few clouds out there, but actually a relatively comfortable day. So if you're going to be heading out, look at that. You're 74 degrees right now. And as we go throughout the next hour, we'll go up a couple of degrees. You see Hillsborough County Fair once again. Today at lunchtime, you're looking at about 76 degrees. And there's your high today of about 80. We'll see a few more clouds building as we go throughout your afternoon, but cooling down. 6 p.m., you're still at 70 though, so still comfortable. So no need for a jacket out there unless you plan on staying until it closes, of course, because those temperatures will drop through the 60s relatively quickly. But we're not going to, for places like Tampa, are not going to get out of the 60s for your overnight lows. Look where we started the day at 57 degrees. Again, you were 55 yesterday morning, 45 Crystal River, 44 for Brooksville, which, by the way, has seen its first 30 of the season. It was 39 just the other day, 60 for St. Petersburg. And again, right now, feeling pretty good. Temperatures anywhere from 70 to 77 degrees. So it's nice out there. Again, got a few clouds, and you'll feel a little bit more humidity. There's your temperature change that we've had since this time yesterday. And I mentioned this yesterday, that our temperatures are going back up again. It looked like Halloween afternoon on Friday was the coolest afternoon, and yesterday morning was the coldest morning. And now again, we're going up, but briefly, because we got a little bit of a change coming here, but it's going to be brief as well. So 2 to 9 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. And look at those dew points, 50s and 60s. We were in the 30s, 40s with a few spots in the 50s just a couple days ago. So again, this is some of that moisture coming in, but still relatively dry air, at least in the mid-levels, to where you're not looking at much of a chance to rain with this next system. There's those dew points again. This was the noticeable difference from this time yesterday. Look at that, anywhere from 5 to 11 degree difference in those dew points. So you're going to feel a little bit of it today. Yesterday afternoon was just very comfortable with those lower dew points. And then the dew points will go up a little bit more for tomorrow before heading back down. But look, it's only going to be brief. Look at Wednesday and Thursday going back up once again. So for today, your forecast is for that nice start that we have out there. Right now we'll have some clouds. We'll see a few more kind of later today. We're going to top out about 80 degrees. And then we'll see the potential for some late day showers. It looks like the better chance, which by the way is not high, is going to be after sunset. So tonight, that's the better chance. I'd say maybe between starting up 8 to 10 o'clock till about 2 a.m. And then again for tomorrow, another very low chance. And that 10% is going to be for the morning commute. And then afternoon, you'll see the sunshine, but it'll be a little breezy. Winds will be out of the north. That's coming in behind that front. 76 degrees for tomorrow. So here's the big picture. So satellite radar right now showing, again, no rain, but there's the clouds starting to come in, and there is some of the rain. So what you're going to see is a lot of this on the leading edge will be drying up, and then you'll get some of this back here that, again, looks to be after sunset. Now, This is all thanks to this cold front here, which is going to be dipping its way down into the area. Now, we did have a cold front actually that came through here on Thursday. That, of course, is what made us feel good. Kind of Wednesday night into Thursday. But I want you to look at, see this front down here. See the cold front and see that low associated with it. We had that same thing last week, except for what we got was just the front. That low was traveling up the coast. So I got a lot of questions about, we have some video here of some flooding that was in New York City. Now, this was Thursday. And what they got was called a nor'easter. Usually if it's a little later in the year, it creates snow. But this just pumped the moisture in. Now, this was not by any means associated with Melissa, because you remember on Thursday, it hadn't even made it up near Bermuda at the time. And what they got here was, in some places in Manhattan, an inch of rain in 10 minutes. Now, the drainage system there, I was doing a little research about this, can handle 1 3/4 inch rain per hour. And of course, they were looking at some point in time, it was 6 inches per hour rainfall rates. So that's why they got all the flooding. Unfortunately, they did have a few deaths out of this. And then even leading into Friday, the weather impact alert went from rain to wind, because behind it there was 30 to 40 mile per hour. Look at it, people are waist deep in water there. And again, this is all just due to an area of low pressure associated with that same cold front that came through here. So it was just, you can see all the flooding out there. It's just some very heavy rainfall. And actually this was predicted, so they went through and they cleaned out all these drainage systems, but you see all the leaves floating on top of the water. You can clean out all the grates, but again, they just get clogged right back up when you get that much rainfall. So that was unfortunately the situation wrapping up last week, of course, leading into Halloween. And you can see there, and you got to remind you here, when you see streets like this, don't drive through them. Because even if the street's still there, sometimes they get washed away. More than likely in a situation in the suburbs like this, the street's not washed away, but what ends up happening is you just get stalled out. Or right there, look at how that truck's creating a wave that could get pushed into someone's house. So anyway, back here, we did get the cold front. We got the wonderful weather that we had leading up into Halloween. It was quite chilly as we went through Halloween evening as soon as the sun went down and into yesterday morning. So now, again, tracking another cold front. This one's going to be weak. It is going to bring us a nice little cool down. So there's the front, and you can see there it's already moving to the south of our area by 2 a.m. tomorrow morning. It'll continue to push its way out, and there's Monday afternoon. Again, Monday's going to be nice. It'll be cooler, and once again, we'll see highs only in the mid-70s for Monday. And then we have another front coming in. Now, this one's not going to bring any moisture in. It's dropping in kind of from the north, kind of like those backdoor cold fronts do. So this one is not going to bring us any rain. And it's not actually going to cool us off any. So again, very weak. What happens with this one is it stalls down to the south, and there is Thursday. So Thursday looks pretty nice, but then you can see as we lead into Friday afternoon, there's some rain trying to push its way up from the south. And again, as of right now, looks like Friday's rain chances are relatively low. And then as we go Saturday, there's 8 a.m. Saturday, that front pushes to the south and dissipates. So Saturday and Sunday, the rain chances go down even more. That high pressure moves offshore, and we have another cold front that looks like it tries to push its way into the area. But as of right now, your extended models don't really show much going on there. So let me show you the future cast right here. And again, this goes for today into tomorrow, looking at our rain chances. And again, the rain chances are really, they're kind of, each forecast model run kind of drying up a little bit more. Because yesterday showed you a nice little chance of rain, again, right around to after sunset. This is the latest forecast model run. There is 3 p.m. this afternoon, and you see all that rain kind of popping up offshore right here, but just not quite making it. Again, drying up. There's 8 p.m. As we go into the overnight, you really don't see much. There is your 10% for tomorrow morning, south of the I-4 corridor. You see the wind there out of the north. So it'll push, it's following behind that front. It'll push really anything we have down to the south. There's your midday on Monday. And then as you can see, Monday afternoon, after the commute or during your evening commute, things are looking pretty good. It is going to help us out a little bit with some of the mugginess just by Tuesday. So what you're looking at for Tuesday morning is, again, a nice, comfortable start to the day. So there's tomorrow morning. It's about 61, 62, and then back down to the 50s. And then even with that front coming Wednesday, Thursday, and then pushing down to the south for Friday, as you can see there, with high pressure up to the north, we're not going to take these low temperatures down any. It looks like possibly the front that I showed you up to the north, looks like Monday it could come through because there's our lows dropping back down for Tuesday and into Wednesday. So again, not looking at much of a chance for rain there. But again, what we're going to have is the humidity going up just a little bit. So we'll take a look. We're going to take a quick break here at the end of the week and what you can expect for next weekend coming up right after the break. All right, welcome back. Meteorologist James Hopkins here and streaming weather. Of course, this is our weather stream and talking about more local weather than luckily tropics. I'll get to that in just here in a few minutes. But going back, and let's talk about our extended forecast because, again, we are officially in the dry season now. Unofficially, we really started the dry season in September after the driest September on record. And as you can see, here's your rainfall forecast with this front that's coming through tonight into early tomorrow. A whole bunch of zeros. So like I mentioned, this one is the model I just showed you. And then you put in kind of the same thing where this is the European model. It shows even less. So again, rainfall is not much what we're getting. So that's why I put the 10% on Monday. Again, a stray shower. So look at Friday. And again, what you're seeing here is kind of our area is kind of north of this. So it's this little area kind of right here. Better chance is going to be down to the south there, Fort Myers, 75 that crosses over towards Miami, Alligator Alley, due to that front that's stalled to the south. And even your extended, you can see the moisture content that's in the mid-levels. So I mentioned humidity going up, but it's really all about the mid-levels. So the humidity will be going up, but the mid-level moisture, again, is just not really there for much of a chance for rain. And you see then that front goes down to the south and looks like it dissipates. It looks like that next front that could come through, like I mentioned, on maybe Monday into Tuesday. Doesn't look like it's bringing much. But again, that is as of right now. Look at your moisture content. And again, this is what we call precipitable water. This is in the mid-levels. This is where the rain comes from. Of course, this does not account for humidity. So in the dry season with dry air in place, it does help evaporate some of that moisture as it falls. In the summertime, that doesn't happen, of course. We've got a lot of humidity, and actually what it does is adds to the rain coming from the mid-levels, and that's where we get those heavier downpours from. But of course, again, we are not in the rainy season anymore. There's that cold front. There's the dry air coming back in. As you can see, that's why Tuesday morning's going to be nice. And then you get a little bit of moisture in there. There's what we're seeing towards the end of the week. Again, look how far to the south that is. And then we see a little bit try to push its way up. But then as we go into next weekend, there's your humidity. There's the potential for that front, but you really don't see much. What you're looking for, of course, is those greens there. So you see as that front starts to come in, there's not really much in the green. The green is where you're going to go from dry to wet. That's the transition. So the yellows, again, just doesn't look like it's enough to really bring any rain in. And then behind that, look at all that dry air back behind it. So during the rainy season, we don't need cold fronts to come through here to get rain. We get rain usually in the afternoons. We have humidity, we have east flow, we have the Bermuda high. But in the dry season, we do need fronts. Unfortunately, it just doesn't look like it's going to be bringing enough moisture along with it to bring us any rain. Of course, we are abnormally dry. And this was because, of course, like I mentioned, September. Now, October wasn't wet either, as you can see there, 0.39, that deficit of an inch, 0.95, almost 2 inches of rain. There's your year to date. Everybody's down. Sarasota now down almost an inch and a quarter, but the rest of us a lot more than that. And again, that was due to September was really the dry month. So what we're going to see here is really just humidity going up. There's your dry Tuesday. Look at Friday, look at Saturday, 66, and look what happens on Saturday where you get a heat index, which it's not bad. Of course, we're looking at mid-80s for next weekend, so only feeling like upper 80s is really not that bad. So here's that 7-day forecast, and again, looking at a little cooler Monday, warmer start, cooler afternoon, thanks to that cold front, and then there is your 56 to start your Tuesday. We'll top out about 80 degrees. And then we're going to see things kind of warming back up. And again, that is due to that humidity increasing. Now, let's shift over to the tropics. And again, we've talked about Melissa for 2 weeks. The good news is now we have no development expected over the next 7 days. And more good news is that starting to see, I think the number as of right now is 300 people have made it out of Jamaica. And check out this right here. This is some video that we have here. And this is from a group arriving in Tampa. As you can see there, they arrived, this was yesterday. They were supposed to arrive Friday night, but it was a little late. But again, look at everyone happy to be home. And we spoke to the people from that flight. And you can see there, they were just happy to be here.
We truly thought that we were not going to make it when the roof collapsed. It was the scariest moment, I think, of all of our lives. So we're just grateful to be here.
We were there supporting our friends for their destination wedding, and we had a few of our belongings with us, but we were all kind of nervous anticipating it, and they kind of stayed relaxed and calm through the whole thing, and they really made sure that, like, we as the guests, even though they stood to lose the most, I think, they were still super just calm.
Again, good news for them that they are finally home, and they're still trying to get people rescued. And here's something I showed you yesterday. Now, if you want to donate but don't know who to donate to, we have a list. So what you can do is text DONATE to 727-577-8522. That's what's on your screen there. And what we'll do is we'll send a list directly to your phone of places that you can donate to, which again is, we'll make sure that you donate to reputable people and organizations that's going to get the money down there to help the people. And again, that's how you get the list of people that you can donate to or organizations there. So, transitioning through what's going to be the last 29 days of hurricane season. Again, here we are going into November. And so far this season, again, we made it all the way down to Melissa. And I'm very happy about what some of the extended models are showing. that there is a pretty slim chance we get to nest or anything else that's going to be on that list there. So 2025 hurricane season so far, 13 named storms, 5 hurricanes, 4 major. And again, most of those numbers are a little bit below average, pretty close to it. 13, 5, and 4. Normal is 14, 7, and 3. And here's the wonderful news. No landfalling hurricanes this season so far. It doesn't look like we're going to see anything going through the month of November. Last time was 2015. That we didn't have a landfalling hurricane. So Tropical Storm Chantal is the one that did make landfall in South Carolina. Again, it's a tropical storm, but also 3 Category 5s. The last and only other time that happened was in 2005. And again, we talked about Melissa and the strongest Atlantic storms. It is 3rd on the list, tied with Labor Day hurricane of 1935 with that 892. And also when it comes to wind speed, it is tied for 2nd. So now that Melissa's gone, we're moving forward. And again, I'm very hopeful about this, and I'll show you why coming up right after the break. Well, welcome back. We're going to wrap this up by talking about the extended tropics forecast and why there's a lot of talk out there about how a lot of people think hurricane season is over with. So at least for us. Now, that doesn't mean there's something that's not going to develop, but we've talked about this multiple times over the last couple of months, how unusual it is here for South Florida to have so many cold fronts come through. We got another one coming through again this evening. We'll have another one coming on Wednesday, another one coming possibly to start next week. And this is what it does for us. This is the good news. This is why I believe that we're not going to have to worry too much, because again, this is just going to be a continuing conveyor belt of cold fronts. And you see what that does. Look at the wind shear that we have going on in the Gulf right now, dipping all the way down to, you can see the Yucatan Peninsula, even over towards the Bahamas. Now you see that there's not much wind shear here actually in the Caribbean, but what happens is kind of the same thing that happened whenever Melissa finally did develop. It basically hits that wall of wind shear and gets moved out to sea. Now, the Climate Prediction Center has put out their tropical outlook for November 5th through the 11th, and you can see it's a little spot there in the Western Caribbean. And then beyond that, the 12th through the 18th, again, kind of the same spot, just because conditions are favorable that if we see something, it could develop into something tropical. That doesn't mean that forecast models are showing that. It just means that these are the favorable spots. And we could see some thunderstorm activity. We have low shear happening, and we have a lot of heat. There's your tropical heat potential. Now, zooming into that area that we're going to be watching over the course of the next 2 weeks, one thing that I want you to notice is here around Jamaica and then up through the Bahamas. Look at the color change here, and it's pretty easy to see where Melissa was. And what that does cause some upwelling, such a violent storm, and it sat out there for a while. You see a lot of heat potential there as we still have temperatures in the mid 80s in the Western Caribbean, and you see that is still about 2 to 3 degrees above where you're supposed to be for this time of year. So there is the energy there, but again, as of right now, over the course of the next 7 days, not watching for anything. In the National Hurricane Center, again, 0% potential for any tropical development over the course of the next 7 days. And what you're going to get, again, is that wind shear continuing in the Gulf. So we will be watching that area. But again, right now,